this house, it was surrounded by these beautiful shrubs, maybe shrub trees. I'm not really sure what they were, but they were about 30, 35 feet high. The problem is, we live on a very small property. It's only about 1/10 of an acre, and these completely surrounded us. So while they were beautiful, they choked out all the light on the property, and this caused a lot of problems. Nothing would grow in the backyard. Everything always was soaking wet. It caused some drainage problems, and the biggest problem of all is it completely rotted out our retaining walls. The water alone that was collecting because it's not drying did enough damage, but the roots of these trees just started penetrating the wall and it all collapsed, and that caused this big giant mess. Now, I started taking down the trees and I was starting to bag up the debris from it and throwing it out. I'm feeling a little bad that I'm throwing out these trees that I unfortunately had to cut down. Then I thought of something. I'm like, well, every year I go out and I buy a ton of mulch. Now, that costs money, so I was curious, how much does a wood chipper cost? I was like, maybe I'll buy one and then resell it on eBay or something like that. And I looked around and I thought they were gonna be quite expensive, and then I realized there were some cheaper $150 type electric shredders. So I decided to try one. So rather than completely waste these trees, I'm gonna turn them into mulch and use them on the beds and try to at least recoup my money spent on this shredder. So I went with a WEN electric shredder, and the reason I use WEN is I have a WEN electric planer and it works really, really well. So I figured to give them another shot, and it was cheap. I bought it for $125. You can find these all over the place. They're at Home Depot, they're on Amazon. So let's go ahead and put it together and see what it comes with. So there aren't too many parts right out of the box. I mean, there's this main shredder unit. Came with a little catch bag for the mulch when it comes out of the chute. This little push thing to help push the branches down into the shredder. 2 wheels, some bracing, and a little bit of hardware. One thing that's nice, and I always appreciate this when having to put something together, it came with the tools to assemble it. Now, I have my own tools, but sometimes it's nice not to have to go look for the correct size wrenches. So it's always a positive to have that stuff. And there's the instruction manual. So let's page through this instruction manual and put everything together. Well, now that we got this all put together, let's take it outside and see how it does mulching some trees. So operating the shredder is pretty simple. There's really no controls. There's just an on-off switch and a reset for the circuit breaker. If there is a jam, you just unscrew this lock and then the whole thing flips open and you can clean it out. So let's go ahead and turn this on and try some small pieces of shrubbery first. All the small stuff, not a problem. And as an extra added benefit, it kind of smells like Christmas. So let's try something a little bit bigger. The shredder handled both small brush and larger pieces pretty easily. Now the larger pieces can only go up to a maximum of 1.5 inches. And it isn't recommended that you do them back to back, so I kind of alternated back and forth, and everything went really well, and I started making a huge dent into that giant pile of brush until I got my first clog. Now, clearing the jam of all the debris was pretty easy. All you had to do is unplug the shredder and then unscrew the bolt that held the cover in place. Now, once the cover was removed, it was pretty easy to clean out all the mulch that had gotten built up. Now, the wet stuff that I was doing, again, not recommended to use wet brush, but it was shredding fine, but it did cause this jam. So I cleaned it out, and then I was back to normal. Well, that was until the shredder completely stopped working altogether. Now, the reason it stopped working was I had gone through a lot of material and the blades were starting to get dull. The blades are rated for 400 pounds of brush, and I was probably close to that. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to change the blades. Now, the first step is we have to open up the back and get to the blades themselves, and this is done the same way as you would clear a clog. The WEN shredder actually comes with an Allen wrench that matches the blades. This was a little tricky to get undone, and you do need to wear gloves because these blades are sharp and can cut you. But you got to work them out, and once you remove them, you'll notice that the blades actually have two sides. So the first time you wear the blades down, you do not need to actually buy a new set of blades. You can just flip them over and reinstall them, and now you have a new sharp edge. Once this was complete, the shredder worked as good as new. I felt pretty bad about cutting down 6 healthy trees, but the reality was they were planted in a bad spot and they were damaging the retaining wall, which really needed to be fixed. The good news is by shredding all that material from the trees, they didn't go to waste. I will use this mulch in the garden beds, to plant new flowers, and even to put a couple of new trees in a much better location than the old ones so that they can grow and flourish from the stuff that came down. So nothing went to waste. So for 125 bucks, the shredder did awesome. It shredded all those trees. It wasn't the fastest in the world, but it did get the job done, and now all that mulch is back in my beds, in my vegetable garden, and it is helping to bring new green and flowers and everything else positive about the backyard back to life. So if you like videos like this and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. If you really like this video, make sure you like it below. And if you hit that notification button, we'll make sure we notify you every time we come out with new content. Until next time, happy planting.